Tim Petrowich for Dateline Marion, and it's time for our weekly visit with Marion head football coach Kerry Martin. And we're talking after a playoff win, which is a nice thing. The Wildcats beat Metamora 41-8, and I think right off the bat I want to ask, we know Metamora wasn't the same as they've been in the past, and they had some injuries coming in, but it has to feel like that maybe in a sense you kind of slayed a giant in the name Metamora and programs like that you've struggled with in the past.
A lot of people struggle with them. So when we played Joliet Catholic and Sacred Heart Griffin and Morris and Metamora, and like a lot of other people, we've not had a lot of success against those teams. And in fact, I think in 3 of those 4 cases, they went on to win the championship the year we played them. So sometimes it's not just the program, it's the year you played them. So, it felt good because I have so much respect for those programs, and first of all, let's say this. The South doesn't have the greatest reputation overall among the other state schools as far as being in the same league football-wise. Our 96 championship, we felt we represented the whole southern part of the state because of that. Mm-hmm. For years, DuQuoin represented us extremely well, winning numerous titles and playing in title games, and so I think when DuQuoin would go, or Carterville went, or Mount Carmel went, you felt this sense of, or Harrisburg, you felt this collective sense of, we're all in this. They're representing Southern Illinois football. So because we have that reputation, anytime you can play a northern team, just geographically speaking, and you can beat them, that's a really good thing, I think, for Southern Illinois football. And but when you put the name Metamora on there, Tim, that's a big deal to me, and to anyone who knows a lot about high school football knows that name is iconic and has been for at least 50 plus years in high school football in this state.
It was a lopsided game that I know a lot of people didn't expect, but it shows that, again, at this time of the year, that your team continues to improve in pretty much every facet of the game. And we talked after the game because the offense excelled, the defense excelled, the special teams excelled. There wasn't really a part of the game where your team had a weakness Saturday.
That's how you win playoff games. I mean, and that's the thing you strive for is having that consistency in all 3 phases, and we just believe heavily in all 3, and we stress all 3, and we work at all 3. And I think that's as I've said this many times, and if people have listened to numerous episodes of this, I've said that when we play at a high level and we're consistently executing in those 3 phases, we're a pretty good football team. But we can get ordinary in a hurry when we fail to do those things, or even if one phase fails, I feel like we're in trouble, and we've got some very gifted and talented kids, but we're not that good in 5A football, and I don't know who in 5A is that can get away with, having a detrimental phase in your game, and we grade our kids, we grade the teams every week, and you just don't want to see those C and D grades in a phase, because if you do, you had to have compensated in a big way, offensively, defensively, or on the special teams to overcome it. So, and as we're now in the final 16, that just magnifies, I think, and gets tougher.
I'm sure Metamora's game plan was ball control, keep the ball out of your hands. They knew what your offense was like. You showed them what your offense was like. Yeah. But your defense took that aspect away from them. They had a first down on their first possession. They didn't have another first down again until their last possession of the first half. And at that point, you were already up 35-0.
Yeah, well, and that we knew coming in, that we had to stop their run. I don't care what year you played Metamora in that 50-plus years of their history, they're a run-first team, and it's been a very successful formula for them. And they've gotten better at the passing game over the years. There was a period of time where they didn't have to throw it very much, and when they did, it was just only play action. Once you pack the box, they had play action for a big score or a big gain. And they're a little more balanced now than they used to be, but still, they're a run-first team. They had a big running back, and I think we were all watching the game and a little worried that first few plays. They were chipping away at 6 or 7 yards a pop, and I'm thinking, oh boy, this is going to be a battle. And then our defense just started getting some stops, started getting some turnovers, field position flipped, and we hit some explosive plays, and we got out in front, ran some tempo, and so things just kind of fell our way, but yeah, certainly the defense just really played well and against a very good running football team.
Two of your drives, you talked about explosive plays. Two of your drives were one play drives for touchdowns. One came after a punt. You got the ball down at your 24, hit the long pass to Lucas Schrum. The other one after an interception, you went right back in. And those two plays happened on back-to-back possessions with one play in the middle. The long touchdown pass, the interception, the touchdown strike to Vince. Just kind of what I think you had wanted to do was to hit them with big plays and get out in front and take them out of their game plan.
Well, yeah, because you get ahead of a team that wants to be a run first team, and you force them to throw the ball with a quarterback that had not thrown it a lot. The backup quarterback had not thrown it a lot, and so we wanted to take the running game out as best we could and make them throw it to win it, and then all of a sudden they get one dimensional and they get a little more predictable, and our defense can adapt to that. But I've been on the other side of that. I know, having played them a couple of times and been in that situation, or played Morris or whoever, and that once they can get you where you have to throw the ball and you fall behind, everything changes. And so I think the field position dictated a lot of my play calling, because we were in a situation we could take some chances, and the kids executed those things really well.
You talk about them being a run-first team, and I want to kind of dwell on the numbers they had in the first half. The fact that because they're run-first, their run-blocking schemes, I'm sure, are well-rehearsed and well-practiced, and they've been successful at it. And only 2 plays for loss in the game, but so many plays, 1 yard, 2 yards, 1 yard, 3 yards. Just no real long plays, and especially in that first half.
Yeah, I think our defense our defensive line continues to really play well and let our linebackers run around and do what they do, and allow the secondary to really focus and not bite on that play action stuff. And we got pressure on the quarterback too. And so when he did get out in the pocket and he would boot it out or he would roll out, we were putting pressure on him to make a decision. And he had to get out of bounds one time. He threw a pick a couple times. And so I think that the defensive line did more for us than just stop the run. I think the pressure they put on him throwing the ball also added greatly to our success.
We've talked about a lot of guys climbing the Marion record books over the years, and with performances throughout this season, and Vince and Evan has done that, and we've had a couple of, Mason Gooch has had a couple of big games, one in the spring and things like that. Here's another kid who I think this kind of slipped under the radar, but here's another one now with a great performance on both sides of the ball on Saturday, but now he's tied for fifth or sixth in career interceptions. Jake Bruce, really, I think he had a really nice game on Saturday.
He did. He's a really good football player, and Jake's a pretty quiet guy, a pretty laid back guy, and he shines when those lights come on and it's game time, and there's no doubt about it. He had a big game. He's making some big plays. He's made big catches all year long, and people do tend to think about Vince so much as the first receiver, and Vince knows that if he can get one-on-one, that's a good thing. But if Vince can get 2 on him, then that opens up Walker and Mason and Jake certainly, and the guys out of the backfield like Lucas and Devin. But I just real proud of the fact that he is, that number 2 in receptions, but boy, he comes up big, and he did last spring. He's doing it again this fall, and defensively, he has really gotten good in that secondary. And I think about not just the balls he's picked off, Tim, but I think about the balls he came close to picking off. He's come close to a lot of others, and he and Vince both especially, I think of, and that turnover ratio right now is pretty high, but it's not a stretch to say it could be close to 30 with some interceptions we've dropped that were kind of at us. So I just love the fact that they're around the ball and making contact, and the big thing for me too is how much better that secondary has gotten at tackling.
Yeah.
You and I saw a picture of him against Koch, his big tight end in the springtime, and Jake's not a real big guy, but he one-on-one tackled their big tight end, who is a
Yeah.
Benford was his name, and he's a big, big athlete. And Jake has gotten where he's really good at those open field tackles. Another phase of his game, I think, that's really improved.
And what was fun for me was this play he scored on, the touchdown he scored on. That was like a Vince touchdown play. Throw that little screen out, and he just followed his blockers and found the hole, and then boom, he took off and he was gone and outran a couple guys at the end too.
Yeah, that's sometimes people love the long pass, but sometimes I love that short pass where those guys have to. First of all, they got a couple of great blocks from Mason and Walker. Walker Fox and Mason Gooch threw some great blocks, and he read them right. And then once he got, Jake's very, very fast. People don't realize how fast he is, and boy, he made a couple of great moves, made a cut back to the middle, and that was a sweet play.
Another player who we've talked about has kind of had his role changed, waiting for his chance to shine was Tyler Sema.
Yeah,
and he led the team in tackles, had a couple of nice open field tackles during the game.
Yeah, he did. He that's the thing about Tyler. He just continues to get better in his senior year. He's always been a good player for us since his sophomore year, but this senior year he's really, really gotten better.
You head now on the road, round 2. You're playing at Mascoutah, a team that got a lot of notoriety early in the season with their quarterback Chase Hansen, who's being heavily recruited. I know in 7+ games, just shy of 8 games, 1,900 yards passing, almost 2,000, ran for 1,000 yards, accounted for 43 touchdowns, 20 on the ground, or 19 on the ground, 23 passing, and even had a pick 6. He got hurt in the Highland game. He's out. The guy who stepped in has now thrown for almost 400 yards in 2 games.
Yeah, tells you how strong a program they are. They've got they take away this key to their offense, and they're able to continue winning games and winning a playoff game against a good Dunlap program, and it tells you a lot about how good Mascoutah is. And they're a very balanced team. You watch them on film; they're fast, they're physical, they're well coached. And they've got a backup quarterback who stepped in and is just doing an outstanding job for them. So, you think, oh, they lost that key part, but sometimes, Petro, teams can rally and other players have to elevate to compensate for the loss of that key player, that star player. And I feel like that a little bit, that's what Mascoutah has done. Other guys are stepping up and filling that void.
You have a couple of common opponents. They play in the same conference with Jerseyville and Highland. They beat Jerseyville handily, much like you did. Highland is the game they lost, but that was the game where they also lost their quarterback. So
right.
There might have been a little psychological effect playing in that game as well. So, as far as comparing scores and things like that, it's really hard to do because there's no real good judge. But the one thing we do know is that you're talking about the 2 teams that have the highest offensive output in the 5A playoffs coming in. Mascoutah at 45 points a game, Marion at 43+ points a game. So probably be a game that winds up being 7-6 in overtime, right?
Yeah, people it's going to be, exactly. It's a lot of times it's the opposite of what you expect. But, that's the thing. I think I'm not into comparing scores. At least you can compare scores enough to say, can we compete sometimes? But it's all about matchups, and it's about, they played Jersey and they played Highland, but the kid got hurt, and we played Highland week 3. It seems like a decade ago,
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a matter of how we match up on this given time and how we're playing right now, week 11, but yeah, you're right. I think it's going to be a really, really good ball game. I think both teams match up very evenly. Their defensive line is good, just like ours. Their offensive line is good, like ours. I see a lot of similarities between the 2 teams.
There is the potential. It's going to be sunny and dry. They play on turf. There is potential for a lot of offense to be had in this game.
There could be. Yeah, there could be. If I say that, then I disrespect my defensive guys. So
yeah.
We're going to say that is not going to happen. But of course, when you look on paper, it looks like there could be but I also know that our defense has played so well, and I think their defense is pretty dang good too. And so this is a really cool matchup where you just don't have 2 high-powered offenses. You also have 2 teams that play good defense.
I think you've only played them once before. Maybe once in the playoffs a long time ago, but I know once in the regular season a few years ago, and it was a dandy ball game.
It was a great game. Jaden Lacey caught a jailbreak screen late and did what Jaden Lacey does, and made some moves and scored late. But it was a good ball game. It was a really close game the whole time, And it was 2017, week 1. It was a 1-year contract. It was a good football game.
And they've got some tradition too. I mean, and they've had some ups and downs, but they've got a state championship under their belt in their history, and there's a little bit of tradition there too.
They've got a great tradition. They've been really good lately. They've been going to the playoffs now, and they have a great track program. And it's a good sports town, good sports school, and they've got a lot to build on, and they're doing a great job there.
So you've had a chance to look at a little bit of film, I'm sure. What's the thing that concerns you the most about Mascoutah?
They're athletic. I mean, they're a very athletic team. They've got. You can tell the track program carries over to the other sports. You can see the athleticism they've got. They've got a really good secondary. Their defensive linemen are big, strong guys, and you can tell they're well coached. And offensively, they still got weapons. They may have lost their main weapon, but they've still got guys that can play. And as I said before, I think guys are stepping up and elevating their game to compensate for his loss. And maybe that's pulled those kids together closer. So we'll have to, Final 16, second round of the playoffs. Of course, we got to play well to win, but that goes without saying. But it's going to be hard fought.
Who do they compare to as far as the athletic ability?
I think that's a great question because when I look at them, sometimes they remind me of Metamora a little bit. They remind me of Highland a little bit. Just people we've played. Mm-hmm. But I think. No disrespect to Highland, I think they're a little faster than Highland maybe. It's hard to tell. I mean, overall team speed maybe. So I think that's probably the best comparison. When I see their physicality and their scheme, I think of Metamora a little bit, but I think athleticism-wise, more like Highland and maybe a little faster than Highland in places.
Here's another chance for your hometown to shine in traveling.
Yes.
We've always had great success, and now you're in the second round of the playoffs.
Yeah.
And so, anticipating a good following up in Mascoutah.
Oh,
sure.
We do. People are talking about it. People are excited. I just got, I ran an errand before I came to work today, and people are excited. I saw people at the gas station who want to talk about the game, and some people I don't even know, which is really cool because you got fans of the football team that you don't even realize are out there, and it's just a great feeling to see the signs on the restaurants that go Wildcats, and before even the game on Saturday. So it's exciting. I don't know that it was our biggest crowd of the year. Saturday afternoon crowds can be more difficult than Friday night crowds, but it was the loudest crowd by far of the season.
And I think that they're trying to take a Maniac fan bus to the game.
That'd be great. We love our Maniacs, great student section, and we love them. And but I love how loud the sideline was. And I always feel weird because people see us yelling on the sideline. And I told my wife, I hope people don't mistake that for anger because it sounds like we're mad about everything, about this call, timeouts, yelling for a kid, but it's just the volume level is so high. You got to yell to communicate everything, which I can probably tell it in my voice today. So, but oh man, it's exciting, and I love the fact Metamora had a good following. Mm-hmm. Their fans were noisy too. They a long way to go. Yeah, a long way to drive. And they had opening drive. They got a sack early, and I mean we haven't had great crowds from our opponents in a while. And there was a big crowd from Metamora, and they were noisy, and it was awesome. Yeah, it was great. And our fans more than matched that, and it was just a good Saturday playoff game.
And then it was awesome to silence their crowd in the end,
too. Yeah, I was glad they got quiet after that. Yeah, exactly.
All right, so it's Saturday afternoon, 2 o'clock, Marion at Mascoutah, and it'd be worth the trip. But, of course, everyone can't go, but it'd be worth the trip if you can make it.
Absolutely.
That's Marion head football coach Kerry Martin for Dateline Marion. I'm Tim Petrowich.